in the world of business. And who's paying for it? We are. Everyone who walks into a store to purchase anything is paying for these thieves to steal. This is a racketeering investigation, and my folks did an absolutely, totally awesome job working with Ashley Moody's prosecutors and statewide prosecutions, and we will make sure these people are held accountable. Gap Incorporated is a victim. Gap Incorporated has several different stores. We know that just since January, this group of individuals that we're going to talk about today have stolen, at least that we can verify, not counting the other stuff we haven't run down or we don't know about yet, $87,000 worth of property. It spans at least 15 counties, 67 different stores. There's at least 151 Chase Bank victims. They made at least 568 fraudulent transactions. During our investigation, we've recovered 20 credit cards, and 12 of them have been cloned. They used gift cards. And I hope that number's not good that they put on this one, or we just told the world, but it's already a fraudulent card anyway. But here's what they do. They take the fraudulent data, they put it on another gift card, and they go into a store. And they steal product. Now, to me, it's a clue when somebody walks into a store and wants to buy half of that. Maybe they went in 2 stores yesterday and they want to walk out with 10 or 15 pair of jeans, but that's a side story. So they go in and they steal it on this credit card, and then they go to another store and they do a transaction where they get their money back. They don't have it put back on the stolen card. Many times they'll give them their personal card. So now you have the stolen property on this card, and we're working with the stores to say don't do this, and then you're cashing it back on another card. It helps us a lot if they don't give cash back. If they say nope, it'll stay in our internal inventory and you can buy something else here. We couldn't have been successful on this investigation except Gap Inc. worked with us. A lot of these stolen cards, if folks would have fraud alerts put on their credit card or their debit card so that every time they used it, it hit their cell phone, they could at least know early on that they were a victim of theft. It's important to understand that this is happening thousands and thousands and thousands of times every day. But when you look at this one group, and we've been here before, but this one group is now charged with racketeering, conspiracy to violate the Racketeering Act, money laundering, fraud, grand theft, dealing in stolen property, 30-degree felonies, some of these, 30-year felonies, some of these cases. But I want to introduce you to these folks so that you know who they are. One of them is a businessman. Let's look at Otis. They know him as B. Williams in Lake Wales. He owns a barbershop, Designer Cuts. That's convenient. He steals designer jeans, He'll give you a designer cut. He'll steal your stuff. He's got a criminal history. 10 felony arrests in the past, 8 misdemeanor, 18 cases. Yep, businessman from Lake Wells. Oh, but I need to show you his Facebook post. Because, see, he's trying to convince people he's honest. And here's an example of why you shouldn't believe everything that's on Facebook. Here's some statements he said. 2016, I caught a bogus rape charge along with 3 other charges. I spent a year on house arrest fighting that case, couldn't go anywhere. 2017, I beat the case. All the charges were dropped. I made it off house arrest. March of 2017, I got caught with a pound of weed and was arrested June the 1st. I was placed on a year's probation for the marijuana charge. That day I realized I couldn't keep trying God after all the breaks he had given me. 5 days later, I started barber school, driving back and forth to Kissimmee every day for 10 months. People always tell me they're proud of me, and I did a 360. But sitting here thinking, I really did, and I'm proud of myself. I ain't going back and forth. I'm living my best life. I got mine out of the mud, for real, for real. Well, that's for fake, because he's stealing stuff. Why he runs his barber shop. He's a thief. He's a racketeer. He's part of an ongoing criminal enterprise. But he's not by himself, you see. There's Devonna Moore. This is his girlfriend. She's also charged with all of those charges. Now, Devonna started in fine fashion. She doesn't have a criminal history up until now. Oh, by the way, she currently works at Dillard's. So she works at Dillard's, and she's stealing from Gap Inc. stores. I just bet she may be stealing from Dillard's too. Dillard's, you need to take a look. Then there's the guy that we think's the ringleader. He seems to know all of them. He moved up to Lake Wells from Dade County about a year ago. His name's Hakim Abraham. His girlfriend is Brittany Peacock. She moved up from Dade County a year ago with him. He has a criminal history, 11 felonies, 8 misdemeanors. She has a criminal history, 3 felonies, 3 misdemeanors. Oh, let me add something to all of this. How would you like to know that the ringleader of this multi-tens and tens and tens of thousand racketeering operation is getting federal assistance? EBT cards. That's right. You're going to work, paying your taxes, so that we can help those that are less fortunate. And these organized criminal thieves are getting federal assistance to steal stuff. He gets $213 a month. She gets $151 a month. Figure that out. Over $350, $360 a month. The federal government pays them to run an organized racketeering operation. Not a bad deal. Did I tell you that Devonna Moore gets money? Federal money. That's right. She works at Dillard's. She gets $278 a month in EBT or food stamps. She gets Medicaid. She gets welfare. Why she works at Dillard's and steals your stuff. You know, we pay those taxes to help people that need help. We don't pay those taxes for people to take advantage. But that's not all. Here's the folks that are at large in Dade County. We also have all of the racketeering charges on them. Do you know why they're still wanted and ours are under arrest? Because we operate with a sense of urgency. Dade County is going to get around to arresting them. And then we're going to prosecute them. But as we look at the three of them, it's interesting to know that Shaquila is currently on federal probation. I know it's going to come as a shock to you, but she's on probation for producing and trafficking counterfeit devices. Secret Service out of Boston arrested her. So she moved to Miami. Did you hear what I said? She's on probation for doing the same thing she's doing now. She doesn't even respect the probation long enough to get off of the federal probation. So she's back stealing stuff with these fraudulent cards. We can help. We can help protect ourselves. We can help protect the banks. But when I tell you that it's important to understand this is going on thousands of times a day, and this is merely a drop in the bucket as to what's occurring, but this is one group of organized criminals that moved around the state of Florida. And why do they move around the state of Florida? Well, they've got to give the different stores time enough to cool off and to replenish. Ladies and gentlemen, it goes without saying, it frustrates me very badly. I am so pleased and proud of my detectives and my deputies, Ashley Moody's prosecutors that are working together on this particular case. But as a community, let's work together. Let's go to our legislators and say, stop giving federal assistance to thugs. Stop it. And let's understand that when they're marching around the state saying these are low-level, nonviolent felons, this is the people they're talking about letting out of prison, not holding accountable, not sending to prison. This is the people they're talking about that they think we're too tough on. Do you think it's too tough? I don't think it's too tough. When they do 568 different fraudulent transactions that we know about, when there's 151 Chase Bank victims, when there's 67 stores involved, and they're stealing tens of thousands of dollars at an event, they need to be held accountable. And they need to go to prison. And I don't think they're low-level, nonviolent crimes. I think it's first-degree felonies. I think it's racketeering. I think it's an ongoing, organized criminal conspiracy. Is there any other questions?
Sheriff, what do you think is the role of each one of these players? Like, how did you connect them to this investigation?
Well, they were all connected through Hakim. He is the one that knew them all. So they would gather the fictitious data, put it on a card, many times a gift card, an expired gift card or a gift card that had run out of space. And then they would move out, buy the product, return the product, get the cash, or buy the product and steal it. I mean, this is just a sample of what occurred, just a sample. So that's Hakim from Miami. And by the way, Hakim, welcome to Polk County. You may do that stuff down there, but we're going to put you in the county jail up here for it. And if you get out, Hakim, pack your stuff up and get out of the county and go back to where it's okay to steal stuff. It ain't okay to steal stuff here.
So you've been doing this since January?
That's how long we've known about this group. Now, understand, this is what we know. there's a whole lot more I suspect that we don't know at this point in the investigation, and the investigation's ongoing. But thankfully, Gap Inc. has very good professional loss prevention folks. They got onto it and notified us. And for my colleagues in law enforcement across the state and across the country, if you're not game on going after these organized retail theft people, please get in the game. The majority of this theft didn't occur in Polk County. Some of it did. But we did the investigation. You know why? Because others either didn't, wouldn't, or couldn't get involved. They're stealing stuff. It would stagger you all to know how much you're paying out of your hard-earned money to cover this kind of theft. Because these banks and these businesses, they can't operate at a loss and stay in business. So not only are you paying more at the store, the money you're paying in taxes is going to pay these people while they steal stuff.
Do you think this is all of them involved in this one?
I think this is all in this particular group, but I'll suggest to you this is just one little nest.
Why would they steal from just the same company? Do you think there are other stores too?
Well, they traditionally, what criminals do, when they find an area of high profit and low risk, they stick with it. So they apparently figured the niche out. Maybe at some point in time they worked for Gap Inc., I don't know, and figured the system out. Or maybe Gap Inc. is overtly customer friendly and was more susceptible. Or maybe that was the product that they could sell the easiest, the quickest, for the most profit on the street if they weren't returning it for cash. But be sure to understand, Gap Inc. needs to be applauded because their professionals caught it and notified us. And they're stealing from every retail outlet there is.
Sheriff, how did they get this credit card data? Did they steal people's actual cards? They got the info on
Traditionally there's a hack someplace, and that person takes the data and sells it all across the nation to other people. And then they take the data and they put it on cards. And then they steal.
Do you know for this case how they got the data?
We don't know how they got the data. Obviously, we'll try to follow that back, but I know it'll come as a shock to you. They're not talking to us. You'd think they'd want to cooperate. Oh, by the way, on top of your federal assistance that they're getting from your taxes, and on top of stealing the stuff that causes the cost of all retail products you buy to go up, they get a free attorney paid for by the government.
From a consumer point of view, if this was a hacking situation and we see this happening over and over again, the consumer really can't do much to prevent that, can he or she?
The best thing that the consumer can do, okay, is for their credit card is have fraud alerts. So, for example, if my credit cards are used for $1 or more, it hits my phone. And just the other night, we were at home, my wife and I got an alert, and I looked at her and I go, "Are you at Dick's Sporting Goods in Kentucky spending money?" She said, "Well, no, I'm not." I said, "Well, gosh, neither am I." So I hit the fraud number, stopped the payment, talked to the credit card company, and that was the end of it. The next day, they sent me some new credit cards, and I went through the aggravation of having to change all my credit card numbers. But you know what? We caught it immediately. Some of these stolen credit card numbers, until people get their bill at the end of the month, they don't know people have been riding them all month. Wake up, America. It's a different day. This technology can help us, help the banks, and help you. I mean, we stopped the theft, and I had been on vacation the week before, and certainly you know what happened. There was a skimmer at a gas station someplace where I stopped to get gas. They skimmed my data. They sold the data. They hit the card, and we got it stopped.
The cost of putting that alert is about $20 a month, and I'm not assuming that because I was looking at it this morning because I'm now in debt $5,000 to a Barclays Bank, which I've never had an account, and I'm struggling through the same thing right now. But that's about $240, $250 a year to get that kind of protection.
Well, you'll find that what I found, if you've been a victim of this, that my bank gives it to me. My credit card company gives it to me. Because you got to get a credit card company. I put every, you know, my life is on a credit card, and they don't want me to go someplace else over $20 a month. And they sure don't want somebody running wild on my credit card that's got, I won't tell you that I can spend more money than I ought to. Because but these banks are good. The credit card company I use now, I've used them for years and years and years because they are game on and do an outstanding job.
Sheriff, what is this?
Oh, I should tell you, it's Citibank, so why they do such a good job, they ought to get a plug.
Sheriff, what does the surveillance video show?
The surveillance videos confirms the theft and that's what our video backs up, is shows them doing the stealing and returning items.
They primarily show the returners.
Okay? Anything else? Going once, going twice? Now listen, I want y'all to ugly them up in the news media because they're stealing people's stuff here and taking federal money while they do it. See ya. Uh-huh.
That surveillance video is on our YouTube link.
I sent the media alert out with the YouTube links. Oh, good.
You get the clothes.
3630. I could wear that
Where's
when I was about
Otis?
14 years old.
Can I have this one?
Can you have it? It's a gift.
I'm gonna get a shot of the card.